Hello children, and welcome to Tuesday's writing lesson, where we are looking again at biographies. Can you remember what a biography is? Talked about it yesterday. Have a little think. It's information, it's facts, isn't it? It's accurate and true facts all about a person's life, written by somebody who has researched it thoroughly and writes about it. So we're going to write our biography. We're going to write them for each other and hopefully have opportunity to read each other's by publishing it in our newsletter. Okay, let's get this on full screen. There we go. So on our writing journey, we're on number 2, and we're going to explore as a writer. So we've had our response to it as a reader. We're going to think about how a writer now has constructed this biography. We're going to have another look at the biography together. We're going to explore it as a writer. We're going to generate our keys to success, and then we're going to think again about who your biography will be about. Right, now just looking at it on the page, children, without even reading it, does it remind you of any other type of writing? Any other type of writing that we have done? Does it make you think of anything else? What does it look like? What's it got? I think it looks a little bit like a non-chronological report. Just looking at it on the page, there are some similarities between this and a non-chronological report. There is a key difference, however, but just looking and thinking, there are some similarities there. I don't want to tell you what they are at the moment because I want you to think about them yourself. So here's our keys to success and our task. You are going to highlight or label the text to show what you have found, to show the different things that are involved in writing a biography. Or you could write a list of features. I don't mind how you do it. If you've managed to print it off, then you might be able to, like we do in class, write the features down, draw some labelling lines, or use a highlighter if you want to. But if you can't print it off, that's fine. Use it on screen. If this version's too small, then you can look at the other one, the PDF on the Google Drive, and write a list of the features. Think about the structure. Think about how it's set out on the page. Think about the language used. Okay. Have a little go at that, pause the video, and then when you've finished, turn it back on, and let's see if we've got the same sorts of ideas. Off you go. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at the structure. And I think what I'll do is I will put it on the dual page, so we've got 2 pages to look at side by side. Okay, what's it got? It's got, as ever with most of our writing, the thing that we know we've often got is a heading at the top. Yes, a heading. Here's our heading. If it's got a heading, it's often also got that other thing, or usually several of them, subheadings. That helps us, doesn't it, to organise the work and to see where it is on the page and what's what. So we've got quite a few subheadings here. We've got one here, one here, we've got one here, here and here. So organising it into paragraphs. Okay. Something else we often have, something at the beginning, something at the end. So at the beginning, what do we call it? That little bit of writing, that opening paragraph at the beginning, what do we usually call it? An introduction. And here I would like you to think of it as a hook. An introduction here is the hook. It's to get you interested. So it's going to be a statement or fact or introduction that really hooks people into reading it. So it's saying she's significant. She helped the sick and needy of India, and she was an inspiration all around the world. They all think, oh, I better read on, that's interesting. It summarises the main events. We have got the information now. It's in a particular kind of order. It's in chronological order. I'm sure most of you have remembered that. Chronological order. So although I said it's laid out a little bit like A non-chronological report, that is not in chronological order. This is chronological order, means it starts at the beginning of her life and it moves through. So we start with early life, we find out about how she was devoted to God, what she achieved, and then she dies, and then we find out what's there after her death. So it's in time order, chronological order. Good. The conclusion. You can think of the conclusion really as this whole paragraph. So it has a concluding paragraph which tells you what her legacy was, what has she left behind since dying, and really it's the fact that the charity has continued, hasn't it? Any other structural things? Let me have a look. The only other thing I think that's in there that is, I think we'd call it structure rather than language, is this quote. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things with great love." There's another one up here. God doesn't require us to succeed, he only requires that you try. So there are quotes, words that she said herself. Now, I wonder why we put those in a biography. I think it really is to give a sense of the person, isn't it? If we hear her voice, her thoughts and ideas, it gives us a bit more of a sense of the person. So those are all the structural features of a biography. We have a heading, we have an introduction, which is a hook. We have subheadings to help organise the information, and they are in chronological or time order. Then we have a conclusion at the very end, often think beginning and end, and some quotes. In terms of language, did you find any language devices in there? I wonder if I can do these in a different colour. We had, what tense did you find? If we've got verbs like was, one of the most significant, was born, was raised, took, felt. Which tense is that? Is it the past tense? Our verbs are all in the past tense. Lots of past tense verbs there, so like was, and some of these took, take would be present tense, wouldn't it? It's in the third person, so we're writing about somebody else. I'll put that over here, or maybe I'll put it here. Third person. So we've talked about that before, haven't we? It's not I, it's not about me, it's about she, somebody else. So the third person is sometimes referred to as she. It could be her name Agnes. It could be things like her. That's also third person. It's not my mother, it's her mother. I wonder if there's any other pronouns, any other words that mean she or her. It could be Mother Teresa, could be Teresa. All those words mean it's the third person. Only other thing is feelings. Often you get feelings in a biography. Oops, I keep putting the line in instead of the word. Feelings. So how she felt about things. That also gives you a sense of the person, doesn't it? She refused this banquet. She didn't want to do it. She didn't think it was right. That's her feelings. She felt it wasn't right. She felt she had a calling. So that's her feelings. Again, it helps us to know a little something about the person. So we've got past tense, third person, and feelings. That's some of the language. Oh, one other thing that I've just remembered is if it's in time or chronological order, we have time adverbials, don't we, to tell us when. And I'm sure that's one of our really key skills from this year, isn't it? I'm sure many of you will have spotted the time adverbs. Look, later in her life, on the 5th of September, that's when. Today, so her legacy is what's happened today. Oh, look at these lines all over the shop. So we've got time adverbials as well. I hope that's been okay and you found most of them. I think you will have found many of those. You're very good now at looking at the features of a piece of writing. So let's move on. That's the most of the work today. Let's just think about who you're going to write your biography about. It could be a sports person. You might love football or tennis or swimming or dance. You could pick someone. You could pick one of the 4 family captains, Whitlock, Murray, Whitehead or Kenny. If you want to do some more research about them and find out about them, that could be the person that you do. It could be a singer or an actor. It could be a scientist, an astronaut or an inventor. It could be an author, Roald Dahl. Oh, sorry, that shouldn't be in a separate bullet point. An author like Roald Dahl or David Attenborough, he's a scientist and a naturalist, isn't he? So it could be anybody you are interested in. A famous person from history, Rosa Parks or Mary Seacole. If you don't know who they are, why don't you look them up and decide whether you would like to do your biography about them instead. So lots of ideas then. Have a think. Who are you interested in? Totally up to you. I'm not going to tell you who you need to do at all. Okay, so from today's lesson, we've been identifying the features of a biography. How did you get on? Did you think of most of those features? Was that relatively straightforward for you? Tomorrow in Wednesday's lesson, we're going to look at using the internet for our research, and we're going to think about the biographies. What do you already know about the person you've chosen, and what do you want to find out about them for your biography? Well done, children. I hope you've got on fine with that, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.